Close your eyes. Let the world fall away. Tonight, I want to take you somewhere. Somewhere far from where you are now. Somewhere warm. Somewhere quiet. We are going to Tokyo. It is 2 o'clock in the morning. The city has finally begun to rest. The last trains have departed. The salary workers have stumbled home. The neon signs, those rivers of electric light, have dimmed one by one, like candles surrendering to the wind. But not everything sleeps. In the back alleys of Shinjuku, beyond the main roads and the shuttered department stores, there is a narrow lane. So narrow that 2 people cannot walk side by side. The pavement is wet. Perhaps it rained earlier. Or perhaps someone washed the street, as shopkeepers do here, sweeping water across the stones in an ancient ritual of purification. Your footsteps echo softly. Tap, tap, tap. The air is cold against your cheeks. December cold. The kind that makes your breath visible. A small ghost escaping your lips with every exhale. And then, you smell it. At first it is faint, a whisper of something savory, something deep. It curls through the air like smoke, finding you before you find it. Pork bones, simmered for hours, perhaps 12, perhaps 20. Garlic, roasted until golden, releasing its sharp, pungent sweetness. Soy sauce, not the kind you buy in plastic bottles, but the real thing. Aged in wooden barrels, dark as night and rich as memory. The smell wraps around you. It pulls you forward. There, at the end of the alley, a single lantern glows. Red paper, soft light. The kanji painted on its surface reads, Ramen, Ramen. Beneath the lantern hangs a norin, a short fabric curtain split down the middle. It is faded navy blue, stained with years of steam and oil. The edges are frayed. This curtain has welcomed 10,000 hands. You reach out. The fabric is soft, worn. It parts easily, like a sigh. You step inside. The shop is small, so small. There is a counter made of aged wood, polished by countless elbows and forearms. 7 seats. No more. Tonight, 5 are occupied. No one looks up when you enter. This is not rudeness. This is reverence. Each person is bent over their bowl, lost in their own private world. You take your seat. The wood is warm beneath your palms. Generations of heat have soaked into this counter. The warmth of broth, the warmth of bodies, the warmth of time itself. Behind the counter, a man works in silence. He is perhaps 60 years old. His face is weathered, carved by steam and years. He wears a white headband, twisted and tied above his brow. His movements are precise, deliberate. He has made these same motions for 40 years. He does not ask what you want. He already knows. Listen. In the quiet of this tiny room, sounds emerge like instruments in an orchestra. The soft bubbling of broth in a great steel pot. The click of bamboo chopsticks against ceramic. The slurp, that essential, beautiful slurp, of noodles being drawn into hungry mouths. In Japan, slurping is not rude. It is necessary. When you pull the noodles quickly, you draw air with them, cooling the strands while releasing their aroma. The sound is part of the meal, a song of satisfaction. Listen to it now, that chorus of soft, contented sounds. And then, your bowl arrives. The man sets it before you with both hands, a gesture of offering, of respect. Steam rises, slow and thick, a veil between you and the world. Through the mist, you see it. The broth, a deep amber brown, glistening with tiny pools of oil that catch the light. The noodles, pale yellow, curled like sleeping ribbons. 2 slices of chashu pork, their edges caramelized, their centers pink and tender. A soft boiled egg, cut in half, its yolk the color of sunset. Green onions, sliced so thin they are almost transparent. A single sheet of nori seaweed standing at attention against the rim. It is not just food. It is a composition, a painting, a poem written in ingredients. You lift your chopsticks. But before you eat, pause. Hold this moment. Because within this simple bowl lies a story. A story that begins in the ports of 19th century China. A story that travels through war, through hunger, through reinvention. A story of immigrants and inventors, of suffering and survival, of a dish that was once considered food for prisoners and is now celebrated as art. Tonight, we will trace that story together. We will walk through the narrow streets of Yokohama in 1859, when the first Chinese noodles arrived on foreign ships. We will stand in the ruins of post-war Tokyo, where desperate vendors created hope from wheat and bones. We will meet a man who spent a year in a tiny shed, failing again and again, until he invented something that changed the world. And finally, we will return here, to this counter, to this bowl, to this quiet, sacred moment. Take a breath. Let it out slowly. The journey is about to begin. Let us travel back now, back through time, through decades, through generations. The Tokyo you just visited, with its glowing lanterns and polished counters, does not yet exist. The ramen shops have not been built. The recipes have not been written. We are going to the very beginning. The year is 1859. Japan has just opened its doors to the world. For over 200 years, this island nation kept itself sealed. No foreign ships, no foreign faces, no foreign ideas. The shoguns believed that isolation meant safety, that silence meant peace. But now, everything is changing. The port of Yokohama has opened, and with it, a new world is rushing in. Come. Stand with me on the wooden docks. It is early morning. The sun has not yet climbed above the horizon. The sky is a pale gray, the color of oyster shells, streaked with ribbons of pink and gold. The air. Oh, the air. It is unlike anything you have ever breathed. 1,000 smells, layered and tangled, competing for your attention. First, the sea. Salt and brine and the cold, clean scent of deep water. It fills your lungs. It coats your tongue. Then, coal smoke. Black and bitter. The foreign steamships burn mountains of it, and the smoke drifts across the harbor like dark ghosts, leaving soot on every surface. Camphor, sharp and medicinal. The merchants use it to protect their silks and fabrics from insects. It stings your nostrils. It makes your eyes water just slightly. And beneath it all, spices. Strange spices. Cinnamon from Ceylon. Star anise from Canton. Dried chilies from places whose names the Japanese cannot yet pronounce. This is Yokohama in 1859, a place where worlds collide. Listen now. The harbor is waking. Wooden hulls creak against the docks. Ropes groan under the weight of cargo being lifted, swung, lowered. Somewhere, a foreman shouts in Cantonese, quick, sharp syllables that rise and fall like music. Seagulls cry overhead. Their voices echo across the water. And beneath it all, a rhythm. The rhythm of footsteps. Hundreds of workers, Chinese laborers, Japanese porters, Western merchants, moving through the morning mist like figures in a dream. Among these workers are the men who will change everything. They came from Guangdong, from Fujian, from the coastal provinces of China where noodles have been made for 1,000 years. They did not come to change Japanese cuisine. They came simply to work to survive, to build new lives in a foreign land. But they brought something with them, in their memories, in their hands, in their hunger for home. They brought the knowledge of Ramen, pulled noodles. Walk with me now, away from the docks, into the narrow streets behind the harbor. This is where the Chinese workers have gathered, a cluster of wooden buildings crowded together, leaning against each other like tired old friends. Paper lanterns hang from doorways, their red surfaces faded by sun and rain. The streets are unpaved, mud and dust. Your sandals sink slightly with each step. And there, at the corner, a small stall, a wooden cart with a charcoal brazier. A man standing behind it, his sleeves rolled up, his hands covered in flour. He is making noodles. Stop here. Watch him work. He takes a lump of dough, pale, soft, yielding. He has already kneaded it for 30 minutes, folding and pressing, until the gluten within has awakened, until the dough has become elastic, alive. Now he begins to pull. He stretches the dough between his hands, slowly at first. The mass elongates, becoming a thick rope. Then he folds it, doubles it back on itself, and pulls again. Each time he pulls, the strands multiply. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. His arms move in a steady rhythm. Pull, fold, twist, pull. The dough spins through the air. Gravity takes hold, stretching the strands thinner. 16 strands, 32, 64. His hands dance. The noodles fly. It looks like magic, but it is physics. It is chemistry. It is centuries of knowledge passed from master to apprentice, encoded in muscle and memory. There's a secret ingredient in these noodles, something that makes them different from Japanese udon, different from Italian pasta, different from any other noodle in the world. It is called kansui, alkaline water. In the lakes of Mongolia, there are ancient mineral deposits. The water that flows from these regions carries sodium carbonate, potassium carbonate, salts that make the water alkaline. Chinese cooks discovered, perhaps by accident, that adding this water to wheat flour created something extraordinary. Let me tell you what happens. When kansui meets flour, a quiet transformation begins. The alkaline compounds interact with the proteins in the wheat. The gluten, that network of stretchy, elastic bonds, becomes stronger, tighter, more resilient. The dough can be pulled and pulled without breaking, and something else happens. Within the flour, there are compounds called flavonoids. In neutral conditions, they are colorless, invisible. But in alkaline conditions, they change, they transform, they turn yellow. This is why ramen noodles are golden, not from eggs, not from dye, from chemistry, from science, from a reaction that occurs at the molecular level, invisible to the eye, but visible in the final color. The yellow noodle, the springy texture, the way it holds the broth without becoming soggy. All of this, all of it, begins with kansui. The Japanese workers watch from a distance. They have never seen noodles made this way. Their soba is buckwheat, dark and earthy, cut with knives. Their udon is thick and white, soft and comforting. But this is something else. The Chinese call it ramen. The Japanese, uncertain how to categorize this foreign food, give it a name. Shina soba, Chinese-style noodles. The name carries both curiosity and distance. This is not our food, it says. This belongs to them. And yet, the workers edge closer. The smell of the broth, pork bones, soy, garlic, is difficult to resist. One man steps forward. He holds out a few coins. The noodle maker nods, ladles broth into a bowl. adds a tangle of golden noodles, a few slices of pork, a sprinkle of green onion. The Japanese worker takes the bowl in both hands, feels its warmth, raises it to his lips. He tastes. His eyes widen. This is how it begins. Not with fanfare, not with announcements. Just a man, a bowl, a moment of unexpected pleasure. The seed has been planted, but it will take decades to grow. It will take war. It will take hunger. It will take the complete transformation of a nation. For now, the Chinese noodles remain foreign, exotic, a curiosity on the margins. But time moves forward, and Japan is about to change in ways no one can predict. Rest here for a moment. The sun is rising over Yokohama harbor. The mist is beginning to lift. The shapes of ships emerge from the gray, their masts reaching toward the sky like bare winter trees. Somewhere in the distance, a temple bell rings. Once, twice, 3 times. The Meiji era is coming, and with it, a revolution. The years have passed. Yokohama's port has grown. Factories have risen. A new Japan is being built. Brick by brick, rail by rail, dream by dream. It is the Taisho era now, the 1920s. And in the cities, something beautiful is happening in the darkness. Close your eyes again. It is 10 o'clock at night. The factories have fallen silent. The machinery has stopped its grinding song. The workers have punched their cards and stepped out into the cold. The streets are nearly empty. A dog barks somewhere far away. A door slides shut. A bicycle chain clicks softly as a rider passes, his shadow stretching long under the street lamp. And then, from the darkness, a sound. It begins as a whisper, so faint you might mistake it for the wind. A melody, high and plaintive, wavering. 2 notes, rising and falling, a simple phrase repeated again and again. This is the charamera, a small reed instrument, no larger than a man's hand. Its sound is unmistakable, haunting, lonely, beautiful. In Japan, this melody means one thing. Ramen is coming. Listen carefully. The sound grows closer. You can hear it weaving through the alleyways, bouncing off wooden walls, floating over tile rooftops. And beneath the melody, another sound emerges. Wheels, wooden wheels, turning slowly on a stone street. They creak and groan with each rotation. The sound is ancient, patient, unhurried. The yatai is approaching. A yatai is a small world on wheels. Imagine it now. A wooden cart, no larger than a closet, painted dark, lacquered against the rain. At the front, 2 long handles extend forward. These the vendor grips as he walks, pulling his tiny restaurant through the night. Beneath the cart, wooden wheels with iron rims. They have rolled across these same streets for years, wearing grooves into the stone. On top, a roof of oiled canvas, stretched tight. It keeps out the rain, but traps the steam. The vapor escapes from the edges, curling into the night air like spirits departing. And at the center of it all, the heart of this moving universe, a brazier. Charcoal glows orange and red within an iron box. The coals pulse gently, like something breathing. Above them sits a pot of brass, dented and darkened by years of use. Inside the pot, broth simmers. The vendor stops at the corner. He sets down his handles, wipes his brow with a cloth. His face is weathered, lined by nights without sleep. He has walked 3 miles already. He will walk 3 more before dawn. He reaches up and adjusts the paper lantern that hangs from a bamboo pole. Red paper, soft light. The kanji brushed on its surface. Zhonghua soba, chuka soba, Chinese noodles. The lantern sways gently in the breeze. He raises the charomera to his lips once more. The melody floats out into the night, and the workers begin to come. They emerge from the shadows like ghosts finding warmth. First, a factory man. His overalls are stained with machine oil, a dark, mineral smell that clings to him like a second skin. His hands are rough, calloused, the fingernails permanently black. He has been working since 6 in the morning. 12 hours of pressing, lifting, carrying. He says nothing, simply holds up one finger, one bowl. Next, a newspaper deliverer, a young man, barely 20. His bicycle leans against the wall behind him. In a few hours, he will ride again, tossing papers onto doorsteps before the sun rises. But for now, he rests. Then, an older woman. A performer, perhaps, from one of the music halls in Asakusa. Her makeup is faded, her kimono is worn, but there is dignity in how she holds herself as she waits. They do not speak to each other. They do not need to. They are all here for the same reason. The vendor works quickly, efficiently. He lifts a bundle of noodles from a wooden box, pale yellow strands, dusted with flour to keep them from sticking. He drops them into a smaller pot of boiling water. 90 seconds, no more. While the noodles cook, he prepares the bowls. A spoonful of tere, that concentrated sauce of soy and mirin and secret seasonings. Then a ladle of broth. The broth is different from what you might expect. It is not thick, not creamy, not opaque. It is clear. You can see through it, to the bottom of the bowl. A pale amber color, like weak tea. Delicate, almost fragile. This is how ramen was in those days. Bones were expensive. Meat was precious. The vendors stretched their ingredients as far as they could. 1 chicken carcass, 2 pork bones, boiled again and again until every trace of flavor had been surrendered. The soup was thin because the times were thin. And yet, it was warm. It was savory. It was enough. The factory worker receives his bowl. He holds it with both hands, feels the heat seeping through the ceramic into his palms. He raises it to his face, breathes in. The steam carries the scent of soy, of ginger, of something like home. Then he lifts his chopsticks. He gathers the noodles, raises them high, and he slurps. This sound, the slurp, is important. In the West, it might seem rude, uncouth, a breach of manners. But in Japan, it is the opposite. When you slurp noodles, you draw air into your mouth along with the broth. The air cools the hot liquid, protecting your tongue from burning. But it does something else, too. It carries the aroma. The volatile compounds in the soup, those delicate molecules of flavor, rise with the air and enter your nasal passages from behind. This is called retronasal olfaction. It is how we truly taste. When you slurp, you are not just eating. You are breathing the flavor, inhaling the essence of the dish. The louder the slurp, the deeper the experience. This is what the factory worker knows without knowing, what his body understands without words. He slurps, and the warmth spreads through him. Not just into his stomach, but into his chest, his shoulders, his tired and aching bones. For this moment, he is not a worker. He is simply a man, being nourished. One by one, the customers finish. They set down their bowls. They murmur quiet thanks. They slip coins into the vendor's hand and disappear back into the night. The vendor wipes down his counter. He packs away his tools. He grips the handles of his cart, and slowly, he begins to walk again. The wooden wheels turn. The charomera rises to his lips. That melody drifts once more into the darkness. Listen. Can you hear it? It is growing fainter now, moving away, turning down another street, toward another corner, where other tired souls are waiting. The notes waver in the cold air. They linger, and then silence. Rest here a moment. The night is deep and still. Somewhere, a clock strikes 11, and Japan sleeps, unknowing that the darkest chapter of its history is approaching. Soon, everything will change. We must go to a darker place now. I will guide you gently. We will not linger in the pain. But to understand what ramen became, we must first understand what Japan endured. Take my hand. Let us walk through the ashes together. The year is 1945. August has just ended. The war is over, and Japan, the Japan of temples and cherry blossoms, of ancient traditions and quiet dignity, lies in ruins. Imagine Tokyo, but not the Tokyo you know. Not the city of neon and glass, of bullet trains and convenience stores. This Tokyo has no color. Everything is gray. The sky, the ground, the faces of the people who wander through the rubble. Where buildings once stood, there are now only skeletons. Blackened beams reach toward the sky like broken fingers. Walls have crumbled into mountains of debris. The streets, once orderly and clean, have become rivers of ash and twisted metal. The smell. It is the smell of endings. Burnt concrete releases a fine dust that catches in your throat. Wet ash carries a metallic taste, like blood or rust. And beneath it all, something else. Something you do not want to name. This is the smell of a city that has died. Listen, the city is quiet. Too quiet, but not silent. Somewhere, far away, a baby cries. The sound drifts across the rubble, thin and lonely. No one comes to comfort it. Or perhaps they cannot. A crow calls, then another. They have grown bold, these birds. They perch on the ruins and watch with black, knowing eyes. Footsteps crunch on broken glass. Tap, tap, tap. A woman walks past, carrying everything she owns in a single cloth bundle. She does not look up. She does not speak. There is nothing to say. Millions are homeless. Millions more are hungry. The rice, that sacred grain, the soul of Japanese cuisine for 3,000 years, is gone. The paddies have been burned. The harvests have been seized. People are starving. In this darkness, something else is rising. They call it Yamaichi, the black market. In the shadows of the ruined buildings, a new economy is being born. Desperate people selling desperate things. And among the chaos, the stalls appear. Makeshift counters built from salvaged wood. Pots balanced on piles of broken bricks. Fires burning in old oil drums. The vendors are ghosts of men. Former soldiers, mostly. They returned from the war to find their homes destroyed. Their families scattered. Their country defeated. But they know how to survive. They build their stalls, and they make noodles. Where does the flour come from? Ships are arriving in Yokohama harbor. American ships. They carry wheat. Tons and tons of wheat. The white powder pours from burlap sacks stamped with English letters. Japanese hands catch it. Japanese hands transform it. Watch the noodle maker. He works in silence. His stall is nothing. A few boards, a pot, a ladle. But his hands know what to do. He mixes the flour with water. He kneads the dough with mechanical precision. His face shows nothing. His eyes are distant. Now, he makes noodles. This is how he survives. The broth simmers in the pot. It is made from whatever he could find. Bones, scraps of vegetable, a piece of dried fish. Nothing is wasted now. A man approaches. His coat is torn. His shoes are held together with rope. He holds out a coin. Just one. The vendor nods. He ladles broth into a bowl, adds a tangle of noodles, still steaming. The man takes the bowl. His hands are trembling. Watch him. He does not eat immediately. First, he holds the bowl close to his chest. He feels the heat seeping into his palms. Warmth. When did he last feel warm? He raises the bowl to his face, breathes in the steam. His eyes close. For a moment. Just a moment. He is somewhere else. Then he opens his eyes. He lifts the noodles, and he eats. This bowl is not just food. It is proof that tomorrow is possible. In a world where everything has been destroyed, these tiny transactions are the first stitches in a torn fabric. Ramen becomes the food of survival. Cheap, filling, warm. A bowl of noodles cannot rebuild a city, but it can keep you alive until morning. And sometimes, that is enough. Years will pass. From the ashes of this moment, something will grow. Regional ramen is being born. The seeds are here, in this rubble, in this hunger, in these desperate, beautiful acts of creation. Rest now. The night is passing. Somewhere in the ruins, a fire still burns. Not destruction, but survival. Tomorrow, there will be more noodles. Tomorrow, Japan will rise. The war is now a memory. 13 years have passed. Japan is rebuilding. Factories hum again. Children laugh in schoolyards. The skeletons of burned buildings have been replaced by new construction. Concrete, steel, glass. But one man cannot forget. He cannot forget the lines. Those endless lines of hungry people waiting in the cold for a single bowl of ramen. His name is Momofuku Ando, and he is about to change the world. Come with me now, to a quiet neighborhood in Ikeda City, just north of Osaka. It is late at night. The houses are dark. Families are sleeping. A cat crosses the street, its paws silent on the pavement. Behind one of these houses, there is a small structure. A shed, really. No larger than a closet. A single light burns within. Step inside. The space is cramped. You can touch both walls if you stretch out your arms. A bare light bulb hangs from the ceiling on a frayed cord. It sways slightly, casting shadows that shift and dance. The walls are covered with paper, notes, diagrams, calculations, failed experiments, documented in precise handwriting. Day 47, noodles crumbled, too brittle. Day 89, mold appeared after 3 days. Day 156, better texture, but rehydration incomplete. Hundreds of notes, hundreds of failures, and in the center of this tiny universe, a man sits on a wooden stool. He is 58 years old. His hair is gray at the temples. His eyes are tired but focused. Before him, on a rough wooden table, are the tools of his obsession. Flour, water, a bowl, a pot of oil, and noodles. Always noodles. Momofuku Ando was not born a noodle maker. He was a businessman, an entrepreneur, a man who had succeeded and failed, risen and fallen more times than he could count. But the image of those post-war lines haunted him. All those people, all that hunger. He asked himself a question that would not let him rest. How can I bring the comfort of ramen to everyone, everywhere, instantly? The answer seemed impossible. Ramen required broth, simmered for hours, fresh noodles made each morning, a skilled cook working over a hot stove. How could all of that fit in a package? How could it last for months without refrigeration? How could it be ready in minutes, with nothing but hot water? No one had ever done it. But Ando believed it could be done. For 1 year, he worked, every day from morning until midnight, sometimes later. He ate his meals in the shed. He slept only when his body refused to continue. His wife would bring him tea, and he would drink it without tasting, his mind elsewhere. He was not a scientist. He had no laboratory, no assistants, no funding. He had only this shed, these ingredients, this relentless, unstoppable will. The problem was moisture. Fresh noodles contain water. Water breeds bacteria. Bacteria cause rot. To make noodles last, you must remove the water. But dried noodles are brittle. They crack. They crumble. And when you try to rehydrate them, they become mushy, flavorless, wrong. Ando tried everything. He dried noodles in the sun. They became hard as stone. He dried them in an oven. They turned to dust. He dried them slowly over days. Mold grew before they finished. Failure after failure after failure. The notes accumulated on the walls. And then, one night, Ando was making tempura for his dinner. He watched his wife drop vegetables into the hot oil. The batter sizzled. Steam erupted from the surface. And he understood. Listen, this is the sound of discovery. A soft gasp, a sudden stillness, the world contracting to a single point of clarity. Oil, of course, oil. Here is what happens when you submerge noodles in hot oil. The temperature is precise, 160 degrees Celsius, just below the smoking point. When the noodles enter the oil, the water inside them, that enemy of preservation, is instantly superheated. It turns to steam in a fraction of a second. The steam erupts outward, escaping through the surface of the noodle. And as it escapes, it leaves behind tiny channels, microscopic tunnels, a network of empty spaces where water once lived. This is the secret. The noodles become porous, hollow, light as paper. All moisture is gone. Without moisture, bacteria cannot grow. Without bacteria, the noodles can last for months. But here's the miracle. When you add hot water later, that water follows the same channels. It rushes into the empty spaces. It fills the microscopic tunnels. The noodle drinks the water. It swells. It softens. It returns to life. 3 minutes? That is all it takes. The dead noodle lives again. Ando called this method shunkan yunetsu kansoho, flash fry dehydration. It was not elegant. It was not obvious. It was genius born from a year of failure and a single moment of watching tempura fry. The first batch. Ando holds the dried noodles in his hand. They are light, almost weightless, golden yellow, curled into a neat brick. He places them in a bowl. He boils water in a kettle. The steam rises, filling the tiny shed with warmth. He pours. The water hits the noodles with a soft splash. And then, silence. Ando watches, his breath held, his heart pounding. The noodles begin to move. They loosen, unfurl. The tight brick relaxes, strand by strand, as if waking from a long sleep. The aroma rises. Chicken, salt, warmth. 3 minutes pass. Ando lifts his chopsticks. His hands are trembling, not from cold, not from hunger, but from something he cannot name. He tastes. It works. The noodles are soft, springy, alive. The broth is rich with flavor. Seasoning he had dried along with the noodles, now rehydrated into soup. In his tiny shed, surrounded by a year of failures, Momofuku Ando has created something that never existed before. Instant ramen. He called it chicken ramen. Chicken ramen. When it arrived in stores, people were skeptical. The price was 35 yen, 6 times the cost of a bowl of fresh udon. Too expensive, they said. Too strange, they said. Who would pay for noodles you make yourself? But then they tried it, and they understood. Within a year, chicken ramen was selling faster than Ando could produce it. Factories were built. Machines were invented. The little brick of dried noodles traveled across Japan, then across Asia, then across the world. Dormitories, office desks, disaster relief camps, space stations, everywhere that humans went, instant ramen followed. One man, one shed, 1 year of failures. And then, everything changed. Rest now. The light in the shed is growing dim. Ando sets down his chopsticks. He looks at the notes on his walls. All those failures that led to this success. Outside, the first light of dawn is touching the horizon. A new day, a new world. And somewhere, in a kitchen you have never seen, a child is pouring hot water over noodles, watching them come to life for the very first time. The magic continues. Japan is a small country. You could drive from north to south in a single day. And yet, within this narrow archipelago, worlds exist. Mountains that touch the clouds. Coastlines that stretch like ribbons of silk. Winters that freeze the soul. Summers that melt the mind. And in each of these worlds, ramen has taken a different form. Tonight, let us travel. From the frozen north to the tropical south. From mountain springs to ocean harbors. 4 places, 4 bowls, 4 stories. Close your eyes. Our journey begins. Sapporo. It is February. The temperature is 20 degrees below zero. 20 below zero. Step outside, and the cold hits you like a wall. It does not creep, it strikes. Your breath crystallizes instantly, forming tiny ice crystals that hang in the air like suspended diamonds. The snow is everywhere, 3 meters deep in some places. It covers the rooftops, the cars, the park benches. The city has become a white labyrinth. Your eyelashes are freezing together. Your fingers, even in thick gloves, are going numb. You need warmth, not just on your skin, inside, deep in your bones. There. A small shop, its windows completely opaque with condensation. You cannot see inside, only the glow of light, soft and golden bleeding through the fog. You push open the door. Heat. It wraps around you like an embrace. The frozen world outside ceases to exist. And the smell. It is unlike any ramen you have encountered before. Rich, earthy, fermented. This is miso. In the cold north, they learned long ago that fermented foods warm the body from within. Miso paste, soybeans transformed by time and salt and koji mold, generates heat as your body digests it. The broth before you is thick, opaque, a deep amber brown swirled with oil. Floating on top, a curl of butter slowly melting. Kernels of sweet corn, golden and bright. Bean sprouts, pale and crunchy. This is Sapporo ramen, born from necessity, from survival, from the wisdom of people who learned to endure winters that would break lesser spirits. You lift the noodles. They are thick, chewy, built to hold the heavy broth. You eat, and the cold outside becomes a distant memory. Now, let us travel south, far south, to the island of Kyushu, Hakata. The air here is different. Warm, humid. Even at night, the heat clings to your skin. We are at the Nagahama fish market. It is 4 a.m. Around you, the chaos of commerce. Fishermen hauling their catch. Merchants shouting prices. Forklifts beeping. Ice crunching underfoot. These men have been working all night, hauling nets, sorting fish, loading trucks. They are exhausted, and they are hungry. At the edge of the market, a row of yatai, street stalls, waits for them. The broth here is white, not cream-colored, not pale, white, like milk, like clouds. This is tonkotsu. Pork bones, boiled not for hours, but for days. The collagen breaks down completely, dissolving into the water, turning it opaque. The fat emulsifies, creating a texture that coats your tongue like velvet. But here is a secret. This broth was an accident. Decades ago, a cook left his pot unattended. He was called away. An emergency, perhaps, or simple forgetfulness. When he returned, the broth had been boiling far too long. The clear soup he intended had become something else entirely. He thought he had ruined it. But when he tasted it, a mistake became a masterpiece. The noodles in Hakata are thin, very thin, almost like angel hair pasta. There is a reason. The fish market workers need to eat quickly. They have only minutes between tasks. Thin noodles cook faster. They can be consumed in a few urgent slurps. But thin noodles also absorb broth quickly. They become soft. So the people of Hakata invented something clever. Kaidama. Noodle refill. You finish your noodles, but broth remains in your bowl. You call out, "Kaidama!" The cook throws another portion of thin noodles into boiling water. 30 seconds later, they arrive in your bowl. Fresh noodles, same broth, efficiency and pleasure perfectly balanced. Now, let us turn east, to a quieter place, Kitakata. This small city sits in the mountains of Fukushima Prefecture. It is famous for two things: kura, traditional storehouses with thick white walls, and ramen. But not just any ramen. Morning ramen. It is 7 o'clock in the morning. The streets are quiet. Mist rises from the rice paddies that surround the town. The air is cool, fresh, carrying the scent of wet earth and growing things. Ahead of you, a small shop is already open. Inside, farmers and laborers sit at the counter. They have been awake since before dawn, tending their fields, preparing for the day's work, and they are eating ramen for breakfast. In Kitakata, this is normal. The ramen here is gentle, a clear shoyu broth made with soy sauce that has been aged in wooden barrels for years. The soup is light, almost delicate, easy on a stomach that has just awakened. But the true secret lies beneath: the water. Kitakata sits atop an aquifer of extraordinary purity. The water that flows from these mountains is soft, mineral-light, perfect for making noodles. The noodles here are thick and wavy, made with more water than usual. This high hydration creates a texture that is uniquely satisfying, soft yet firm, yielding yet chewy. You eat your morning ramen in the quiet shop. Through the window, the sun is rising over the mountains. It is a gentle way to begin a day. One more journey, south again, to the coast. Wakayama. This is a city of fishermen, of merchants, of travelers passing through on their way to sacred temples. The ramen here has no single name that everyone agrees upon. Some call it chuka soba, Chinese noodles, the old term. Others have their own words, but everyone agrees on one thing: it is delicious. The broth is a marriage: pork bones boiled until creamy, soy sauce dark and rich. Tonkotsu meets shoyu, two traditions combined into one. The result is complex, deep, a flavor that reveals itself in layers, each sip different from the last. But there is something else on the table. Small plates, ceramic, chipped at the edges. On them, hayazushi, pressed mackerel sushi. The fish is cured with vinegar and salt. The rice is compact, tangy, bright. This is how they eat in Wakayama. While you wait for your ramen, you pick up a piece of hayazushi. You eat it slowly. The vinegar cuts through the richness you are about to experience. Then the ramen arrives. And the two flavors, the bright sushi, the deep broth, dance together in your memory. 4 cities, 4 bowls, 4 expressions of the same beautiful idea. Ramen is not one thing. It never was. It is a conversation between people and place, between climate and culture, between necessity and creativity. In the frozen north, it warms. In the humid south, it nourishes. In the quiet mountains, it soothes. By the ocean, it surprises. Rest now. Our travels are nearly complete, but one more chapter remains. We must return to Tokyo, to a single bowl, to a moment of perfect stillness. Sleep softly. Dream of noodles. We are almost home. We have traveled so far together, through time, through memory, through steam and shadow. Now, let us return. It is night again in Tokyo, the same city where we began, but you are different now. You carry with you the salt wind of Yokohama harbor, the silence of the scorched earth, the click of a light bulb swaying in an inventor's shed, the snow of Sapporo, the heat of Hakata. All of this lives inside you now. Come. One last bowl awaits. The shop is quiet. You enter through a curtain, not fabric this time, but bamboo. The slats click softly against each other as you pass. Inside, there is no crowd, no chatter, no music, only stillness. You are guided to a seat. But this seat is different. Wooden partitions rise on either side of you, like the walls of a tiny sanctuary. You cannot see the person to your left. You cannot see the person to your right. There is only you. And in front of you, a small counter. A bamboo curtain lowered like a veil. This is Ichiran, a place designed for one purpose, to let you disappear into your ramen. You wait. The silence is not empty. It is full of anticipation, full of presence. Your breathing slows, in, out, a soft chime. The bamboo curtain rises, and there it is, the bowl. Steam rises in a slow, lazy spiral. It catches the light, becoming visible, then invisible, then visible again. The broth is a deep red brown, rich, glistening. The noodles are pale, curled like sleeping ribbons. 2 slices of chashu, their edges caramelized. A soft-boiled egg cut in half, its yolk the color of sunset. Green onions, sesame seeds, a whisper of garlic. It is perfect. Not because it is complex, but because it is complete. You lift your chopsticks. Pause. Look at this bowl. Really look. In this broth, there is a Chinese immigrant pulling noodles in a Yokohama alley. There is a vendor in the ashes of Tokyo, making soup from bones and hope. There is a man in a tiny shed, failing for the 300th time, refusing to stop. There is a farmer in Kitakata, eating ramen at dawn. There is a fisherman in Hakata, slurping thin noodles before returning to the sea. 1,000 hands have shaped this moment. 100 years of history have led to this single bowl. You gather the noodles, raise them, and eat. The warmth spreads through you, not just your mouth, not just your stomach, deeper, into your chest, your shoulders, the small of your back. The tension you have been carrying, perhaps for hours, perhaps for years, begins to release. You eat slowly. There is no rush. The noodles slip between your lips. The broth coats your tongue. The flavors unfold. Salt, umami, a hint of sweetness, a whisper of smoke. Each bite is a conversation. Between you and the bowl. Between the present and the past. The noodles are gone now. Only broth remains. You lift the bowl with both hands. Feel its warmth against your palms. Raise it to your lips and drink. The last drop, the last taste, the last moment. You set down the bowl. Empty. Complete. Outside, Tokyo continues. Somewhere a train is running. Somewhere a lantern is glowing. Somewhere a vendor is preparing for tomorrow. But here in this small space, there is only peace. Let the world fade now. The sounds grow distant. The lights grow dim. Your eyes are heavy. Your breath is slow. This is where our journey ends. Not with fanfare, not with applause, but with silence. The silence of satisfaction. The silence of completion. The silence that comes after a story well told. Sleep now. Let the steam carry you. Let the warmth hold you. You are safe. You are nourished. You are home. This has been Kaito. Thank you for walking with me tonight. Through ports and ruins. Through fire and snow. Through 1,000 years of noodles. May your dreams be warm. May your rest be deep. Good night.